Hello friends, welcome to Getting Healthy with Tracy. Today we are going to make sticky date pudding. I'm super excited. It's one of my favorite desserts, not only because it's delicious, but because it freezes. It freezes very, very well. I'm actually getting this ready for Christmas dinner. And today is what, December 4th, so it's going to be 3 weeks early. And you know what, it's going to be fine in my freezer if we don't eat it before. But it'll be fine till Christmas Day, Christmas Eve maybe. I'm not sure when I'm going to have it. So I have a pot on my stove here. I have water. I'm going to share the recipe after, so don't try and follow me because we all know how difficult that can be. So I have water, dates. Mine were whole pitted dates. You could use chopped dates, whatever. I like to throw them in the water, let them soak in the warm water. I've got my butter in there as well. And then the next thing we're going to add in is baking soda. It's a fair amount of baking soda for, like, this is the amount of flour, so that's quite a bit of baking soda. I think it's a tablespoon and a half of baking soda to 2 cups of flour. That's quite a bit, right? So I'm going to, hopefully I can show you this properly. It's a little unnerving when you first make it, so I'm going to see if I can get my camera down farther here. Okay, there, we can see a little bit. Okay, so right now, it's pretty, there's not a whole lot in this pot, right? I do this intentionally because when we add in the baking soda, of course it's not going to do it yet, but it will. It starts to foam and froth. And I have learned my lesson. It grows a little bit, so you can see how it's starting to change. It gets quite foamy, frothy, woo, splashes around a little bit. And one time I did this in too small of a pot and it overflowed for me. So I just put this in here, let it get mixed in. I'm actually going to dump my sugar in as well. Damp in there. Get out of there. My sugar in. And then we're going to move this over to my cutting board. So it's a little, there, that's a little better for you to see. Maybe it won't burn my camera stand, but there we go. Okay, so it is in here. I'm just going to mix it in real quick. Because the easiest way to do this is with your mixer. So you put it in. You don't want it too high because it does splatter. Tip your pot a little bit so you get a deeper section. If you go like this, it splatters more if it's lower amount in there. So just put that in. I have used my immersion blender before too, but either one works quite well. So my eggs a little, I don't know if they're working here now, but yeah. Give my eggs a little mix up. That is one thing I like with this KitchenAid hand mixer. It goes very slow, which is nice. It has a quite a nice low setting that is perfect for stuff like this. So I'm done with my eggs in. Make sure that your mixture is not too hot, otherwise we're going to cook those eggs, right? So just put a little bit in, mix it in real quick. I had got this ready about an hour ago and then set it aside so that when I went and got groceries, it was cooling off a bit so that it was a good temperature for adding my eggs into. So I'm just going to turn my speed up a little bit because I have some chunks in there I want to get rid of. That's it. And then we're going to add in our dry ingredients. So there's flour, ginger, and some baking powder. Get in there. This recipe doesn't have any salt in it because it has a fair amount of baking soda, which is quite salty to begin with. And my butter is salted, so if you use unsalted, you might want to throw just a little pinch in. But first time you make it, just make it as the recipe is and see what you think, because sometimes it doesn't need it. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. This recipe is so good. It's so easy to make. I have not met anybody yet that did not like it. Even people that do not like dates, like me, love this recipe. I've actually heard people moan when they eat it because when you serve it with a good ice cream or fresh whipped cream, and a homemade caramel sauce goes with it, and it is, it's very rich, very heavenly. It's so good. That is it for that, and then just give a little stir around. And then to make my life even a little bit easier, I am putting this into a cloth. Sorry. I am putting my dessert into disposable containers so that I can put it right in my freezer, because all I have is glass ones and I don't like to put glass containers in my freezer, obviously. Alright, so I got this ready. I've sprayed these. I get these at Superstore. You can get them at the dollar store as well. I like the ones that have the lid. I don't normally get this thick one like that, but it is kind of nice to have a lid on it. It just looks a little nicer if you're going to be gifting it to somebody. When this goes in our freezer, we are going to cook it in this, cool it completely, and then put this entire container into a Ziploc bag or wrapped in saran wrap. So this recipe I will share with you makes two 8x8 sticky date puddings. You'll also hear this referred to as sticky toffee pudding. It's just another name for it. I think it's a British dessert. I believe that's the original name for it. And just make sure your containers are about even, so they cook roughly about the same time. Get all that delicious goodness off your spatula, because trust me, you're going to want that in. I give it just a couple taps on the counter, and then I'm going to stick it right in the oven. Just bear with me for 1 second here. Okay, so that is going to go in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. I'm going to set my timer. We better set that right now before I forget. I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes and check the pans, maybe give them spin the pans around, rotate them, and then put them back in for another 5, and I just keep checking them, because sometimes the ovens work differently. Sometimes the batter might be a little thicker or a little thinner than other times, and it just takes a few more minutes. So it's kind of a play it by ear. So you're going to make sure it's fully cooked like a cake. You could stick a knife in the middle or a toothpick. You can tap it to see whether it just sponges back up or not. You don't want it too jiggly. You want it fully cooked. If it is not fully cooked, if it is just slightly undercooked, it will sink a little bit when you take it out of the oven. That's okay, because it is still delicious. And before you serve this dessert, you heat it up and pour caramel sauce over top of it and keep it warm, and the sauce will soak into it a little bit. A lot of people, when they first make it, soak the sauce in it right then. I like to wait till I go to serve it, because it's just, I don't like the texture of it froze. If I'm serving it fresh, yes, I would do that. To put it in my freezer though, I like to wrap it up really good with no sauce on top, just the cake, and freeze it that way. And then I can enjoy the texture better. I just find it gets a little mushier, and I'm a big texture person. Very sensitive to textures and stuff like that, so I need to have it the way I like, and for me is not putting the sauce on when I freeze it. So you need to play around